So organizations, especially financial services, are facing a global reality that is so complex, a reality that is made up of geopolitical complexities, interest rates, the need to personalize products, uh, the need to be more efficient. We're also facing emerging threats like cyber attacks, but also regulations are becoming complex. And because of this complex reality, it has meant that financial services like ourselves are leveraging AI to create a balance between how people and the technology does things the right way versus do, do the right things by being proactive in the way we identify risks, by digitizing the way we offer products through our digital platforms, but also driving the digital engagement. Customers today are savvy and they want immediate, prompt responses or even feedback in the things they want. In the risk space, it's been very predominant because the only way to outthink criminals or to meet compliance requirements is to make sure that we use a data-driven approach. And as an example, in FirstRand, we stop about 2 billion rand of fraud every year because these algorithms help us become not just proactive, but accurately identify where these issues are. The process of a risk assessment is very, very lengthy. If we did not have this technology, it will take us so long to get these decisions. And in conclusion, it's about empowering people to make decisions faster in a consistent way. When we think about risk, it's almost thinking about the organization as a neighborhood. And the role of technology is to help create a safe platform, safe channels. We're going through a time where organizations are going through a lot of complex attacks. And they're also subjected to complex regulatory requirements. And because of that, for example, the process of risk identification is actually much more efficient and effective with machine learning algorithms. In my previous example, I talked about the ability to use these algorithms to not just accurately identify them, but to make sure resources of risk investigation are being spent on where the risk is. We've developed a tool for risk assessment, and maybe just for more context, the process of risk assessment requires investigators to source a lot of data and put insights together, write reports, a normal forensic process. Today, AI assists us using small language models to generate these reports instantly, and it means people are spending time on making decisions or even handling complex scenarios. We've talked about cyber attacks, privacy, and just complex regulations has meant that organizations have to leverage technology to make sure we automate parts of the processes that are mundane and allow people to focus on decision making. I think the first one is to make sure organizations must have clarity on the type of value and where the value from AI comes from. It's proving that it's very difficult to implement AI, but most importantly, it's very costly. And from a financial perspective, it's a very big risk if you're going to approach AI from a technology perspective and end up getting it wrong. But the building blocks of safety are also involved making sure that explainability is important. Regulators and financial institutions today, customers, require the need to explain the nature of decisions that AI is providing, and majorly because of the impact of technology itself. But then there's other risks that creep in, like bias, fairness, and are we creating a better society with this technology? And because of that, it's important that organizations just do not instill values, but also make sure that there are guardrails that ensure that decisions done by AI are fair, they are representative. To some extent, make sure those decisions are a reflection of a better society that we want. The best way to promote the best value of this technology is to position it from a value perspective, to make sure that society understands that this technology it provides hope, but also is a technology that will help create a better future. The world is going through so much complexity, so much stress. There is so much expectation from this technology. And in one or the other of building trust is to make sure that this technology meets people where they are. We must make sure it addresses social challenges. We must make sure that it addresses people's concerns. And maybe one way is to bring society along by driving literacy programs. And I think initiatives like the SAAI Awards will be a way to demonstrate that this technology is steered towards helping, brings along society. I've published 2 books on artificial intelligence. And the first one, which launched about 2 years ago, is about how African nations and organizations can go about leveraging this technology, strategizing with it, and making sure that the value of this technology is applied in the context of African opportunities, how organizations plan to create value for their customers and citizens. The value of this technology comes from how much you do with it and what you do with it. And therefore, passively just overlaying imported technologies or comparing ourselves to other nations might not be very fruitful, because we've got a different reality. The way we create value, our inefficiencies are very unique. In the way we want to drive effectiveness in the way people work is very unique to our setting. And therefore, this African artificial intelligence book covers how we can go about applying and strategizing with AI. The recently published book, Mastering Sovereign Artificial Intelligence, which I've been very lucky to have contributors like Ati, Mikman, Lavina, Somil Gupta, Aaron from Singularity University, Isazi, Tapiwa, and others. It's more about how do we actually control the future. I think if you're following what's happening across the world, AI is not just about efficiency, it's about driving the future of industrialization. It's about using it to solve social challenges. It's about driving the intelligence economy. It's about, being part of this global platform. And because of that, we need to control the value chain of how AI is developed. We need to preserve our culture, which is represented in the data. And we need to make sure we partner in such a way that we're protecting data as a resource. And therefore, this book guides leaders, policymakers, to make sure we don't just invest as consumers, we make sure we invest as industrialists of the future, where this technology will now be helping manufacture intelligence and even create more opportunities in that process. People implement strategies. And when it comes to AI, it requires everyone to be empowered within their capacity. And maybe we can categorize them into 4 areas. We want board members or executive leaders to be empowered within their capacity to hold other leaders accountable for strategizing with AI. So it's important that these leaders are equipped to be able to ask the right question with literacy programs or fluency programs within their capacity. Then we've got just leaders within the organization who need strategic alignment and knowledge on how they can strategically leverage AI and drive the right behaviors, cultural behaviors, to make sure that AI is not just a toy, but it's part and parcel of what organizations are using to navigate this reality and also make sure they drive modernization. Then we've got, the middle layer of the organization, which is actually works with technology. We're talking about AI-enabled accountants, AI-enabled human resource experts. We're talking about AI-enabled behavioral specialists. And it's about enabling them function with this technology, become more productive, so that they can do things and focus their resources and capacity on things which AI is not good at. Then the last layer, which is actually critical, is the layer responsible for manufacturing intelligence, developing. We're talking about AI engineers, data scientists, who it's important that we develop a new form of capacities to enable them to understand the modern AI, transfer their skills and learn how this new technology is working. And most importantly, enable them learn how to implement and integrate this technology in processes so that other layers within organizations can use this technology in their way of work. I think the South African AI Awards matter because it's a way of validating that there is AI innovation happening across South Africa. It's also a way to demonstrate that there's a shift in culture of how we do things and how we work. AI is about people, and it's about transforming how the workforce thinks, how investors think. And I think through these awards, we're going to have some ideas and innovations that will demonstrate transformations that organizations or even the government is driving. Investment is very, very important. And I think through this platform, we're going to attract investors because the ideas and innovations that are going to be showcased will be an opportunity to create just not future value, but also to drive entrepreneurship for the future. This platform will be a way to provide hope that this technology can help create a better society. I think this SAI Awards will demonstrate that the health sector can be reimagined. We can create more capacity. The transport sector, government can create better services with AI. And because of that, we can help drive a culture that looks to this technology to help solve these challenges, drive new economies, create jobs, provide hope that this technology will be the one that will create an abundant future. And more importantly, we can also demonstrate how we're driving the safe and ethical adoption while thinking about the man on the ground while implementing AI.